Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another video. So, today we're going to talk about YCS Anaheim. More specifically, we're going to talk about something that caught my eye when it came to this event. I think it comes to no surprise, a lot of people did not like this event. This event was won by Crystron, but it was a version of Crystron that a lot of people are just not a fan of. Like, if we go to Kamal's Crook's list, we already know about Artifact Mjolnir and how this card is a problem. We also know about Raizio making it into top 4 and about the Proto slot. I'm not gonna talk about those in this video. What I am going to talk about in this video is a deck that actually had a fighting chance against these FTK decks, and sadly, it just didn't make it. And I think you know which deck I'm going to talk about. I mean, it's obviously going to be in the description, it's going to be in the title, and that deck is Dracotail. So, Dracotail did make not the best, most impressive showing. Only one of them made top 16. However, there were a lot of good players that were playing this deck, like Luka Kovac, Julian Cajon, Jesse Cotton also topped. We don't have his list yet. Today, out of every list of Dracotail I saw out there, my favorite deck, or my favorite list of Dracotail, was the one piloted by Pack TCG. Sadly, Pack did not make the top 32, but I think out of every single Dracotail deck list that I saw, his was the one that impressed me the most. And I kind of want to talk about it. So, what you see here on the screen is his list. By the way, I will post his video in the description. If you are as big as a fan of Dracotail as I am, I do suggest you watch his video. It is almost 40 minutes long for a good reason. Like, he actually goes really well in depth with it. So what I am going to do in this video is talk about everything I liked out of his list and the stuff I didn't like out of his list. As somebody who has been playing Dracotail since the very beginning and has innovated with the deck, and has been very vocal of the stuff that I don't like with the deck, I kind of feel like it's just appropriate for me to just bring up like the stuff that Pat brought up on his video. That's not to take anything away from Julian, Luca, Jesse. By the way, their lists are very different, which is something I'm gonna talk about in another video. They are not playing the exact same list. Like, Luca didn't even play the branded version. Alright, so let's get straight to the list. We got 3 Pymena, 3 Lugia, 3 Malulu, 2 Pans, 2 Urgulas, 1 Fritzl. Those were the Dracotail names. For the branded engine, you have the Albas, which ties to the 2 branded fusions. For the non-engine, he picked Voalos, Meowls. We'll talk about this one. Malamute, Ash, and Nibiru. And the last one was Super Polymerization. So, let's start with the outlier here, and this is Most Charming Meows. I loved this pick. Like, I think Meows is actually really good this format. Like, the best deck is Mitsurugi Gummy, and that version of the deck, to do its full combo, has to summon from the graveyard at least 3 to 4 times. So Meows is already really strong, because no matter which line they make, if they start with the Yummy line, you still get value out of Meows when they do Magneon effect. If they go for the Mitsurugi line, you get value out of Meows when they are tributing the rituals and they're using their spawn effects. There were other decks running around where Meows is just particularly okay against, like the Razio deck that was running around. That one combos off with Twins of the Eclipse and with Node, so you're getting value in that way. The reason I'm really liking Meows is because Meows is a self-replacing hand trap. And self-replacement hand traps are, in my opinion, the best hand traps you should be prioritizing in Dracotail. Like, there's a reason I don't like the 20 to 18 non-engine hand trap version, and the problem with those decks is, and I should have shown one of the feature matches in YCS Anaheim. If you saw the feature matches in the YCS, you already know what I'm talking about. I've seen games where people just lose. They just lose because they can't resolve Rahu or Phimera because they ran out of monsters. Like, yes, the hand traps are stopping your opponent from playing the game properly, but what about your game state? Is your game state advanced because you simplify the game? Dracotail is not a real one-card combo deck outside of Branded Fusion. So, just having hand traps that can replace themselves, I think is a very good idea. I think it's something that should be done more. And Pac actually did that, and not only did he did that for the main deck, he did that for the side deck as well. Like Phantasme, I actually do think Phantasme should be in your Dracotail deck, and not many people are playing this card, and I'm actually very appalled. Dummy being a very popular strategy as it is, already makes this card has significant value. It's not even that bad against Mitsurugi because most Mitsurugi decks are either summoning IP or they're on the Yummy version, which also will work with Phantasme. Also, something Pat brought up on his video, it is a level 7 dragon, so it is a material for Filiarigis. And it's also materials for Secretarian Dragon, for Mysterion. So, yeah, the only reason we're not main decking Phantasma is because not every strategy is playing Link monsters. But you could make the argument of main decking Phantasma. So that's it when it comes to the self-replacing hand traps. Magnamut should be on all of the Dracotail list, that's already obvious. The other thing I really liked about Pac's list, he did not play Mirror Jade. The one thing that actually had me hesitant on playing the Branded engine was how much commitment to the extra deck you actually have to do with Branded Fusion, and just the nuances behind you using Branded Fusion as a whole. By not playing Mirror Jade, you're emphasizing on your other Albas fusions, but more importantly, you're giving extra value into summoning Secretarian, Philia, Star Source, which if you hear Pat's video, he was really selling this card. This card pretty much was one of his MVPs in the extra deck. I think Super Polymerization was correct. If you've seen my Dracotail lists, you already know that I've been on this card. I'm not the biggest fan of Heretic Seal and Magistus, Link monsters, or the Magistus line, and all those combinations. I just felt like if I'm going to lock people with Caliga, I'd rather just lock them out with Winda. I'm not this was the right call, especially with Mitsurugi running around everywhere. This is also really strong against Yummy. This also solves the Herald of Arclight problem that the deck always has. Pac did mention on his video that he would have liked another non-engine card in besides the Super Poly, which I completely get behind, because if we are running in a format where FTKs are running around, you might as well just have as much value with your non-engine as possible. I will show you some things that I would have done like on my end, but I kind of want to finish talking about the list. Valor in the side deck, I think, was not a bad idea at all. I think I really don't like Valor as a card, specifically for the reason it's a 1-for-1, but there is a lot of value behind Valor that you have to acknowledge. It is a light spellcaster for Albion. It is a light monster for the other Albion. It's not once per turn, so you can loop it with Arthalion to just keep freezing your opponent on certain game states. So I kind of get the value behind Valor. It's just universally a really good card. And when you know that you're going second, you want more defensive cards besides like the aforementioned ones that you already have right here. Not every matchup is good into Nibiru. Not every matchup is good into Meowls. So just having that liberty of between Valor and Ghostbell, I think was very fine. Ghostbell on the side, I think this card is mandatory in Dracotail. I think if you're not playing this card in your Dracotail deck, you're missing out, because this card is really good against Yumi, it's really good against a Mitsurugi, but more importantly, this counters Called by the Brave. And yes, I know that card is a one-off, but I cannot mention how many times I've lost to that card with this deck. If you've been watching all my Dracotail videos, you already know by now. So, very heads up by Pack. Really good pick. I'm not the biggest fan of Fenrir, but I do get the reason behind it. It is just like one of the best non-engine monsters you can play in Dracotail. The one thing that doesn't sell me on a Fenrir, you'll see later when I show you like the other options that I would play, it just conflicts with certain cards, like for example Phantasme, Magnamut, and Phimena. That's the main reason I'm not the biggest fan of Fenrir. But when you're going first, the Fenrir is perfect because it's an interruption that self-replaces itself. Now, let's talk about things I did not like about the list. I did not like that he did not main Blazing Cartesia. I think Malulu and Lugias are just not enough when it comes to just their normal songs in the deck. I'm glad that he did acknowledge Blazing Cartesia and he played it post side. This just really works well with Fallen of Balbas in your deck. Like, if you go for a Branded Fusion and like your fusion plays get stopped, Cartesia is just another engine push, and like she self-replaces herself like with her graveyard effect. She is a free summon after Albas is in the grave. This plays around Retaliating Sea, which is really important because that card is really popular. If I were to revisit this, I probably would have mained Blazing Cartesia. Maybe cut Urgula down to 1, or maybe play it at more than 40. He did say that he wasn't the biggest fan of Super Poly in the main, so maybe that is an option if you want to stay at 40. But I definitely would have played the Blazing Cartesia at least one copy in the main deck. Maybe the one Nibiru, but maybe one copy of Nibiru would have been the replacement. I've talked about this list with other friends who play Dracotail, and they are a big fan of Sting. Pac already brought up on his video the value behind Sting and why this card should be in your deck. Like, TLDR, this is really good against Mr. Rugi and Yumi. Like, no surprise there. There is merit behind this being the main deck or the side deck. I think this card should be at least somewhere in your list. But Pac not maining it is something I could get behind, but I know that other people are not a fan of that like analogy. So I guess one thing I forgot to mention that I did like about his extra is he only played Espilito Knight. Like, you really don't need that many other monsters besides your fusions. This deck fusion locks you in multiple ways, so you might as well maximize on your like win condition of your deck. And if you're afraid of Dimensional Barrier, Pac already brought it up on his video. This deck is actually not that bad against Dimensional Barrier because you have ways to fuse on your opponent's turn. Yeah. Alright. So, stuff that I would have changed about this list. I think the extra deck is okay. I don't think there's many things you should do with the extra deck. I think his extra deck was almost perfect in my opinion. I was not a fan of Phil Rodriguez before this build. Pac actually did convince me how like strong this card is. And the fact that you can just make this on turn 0 with 5 mana and just get the maximum value out of your interruptions with this and Pan, for example, is actually really strong. So one thing I would have done differently is I would have made more Bestials. I think with Mitsurugi being very, very popular, also, this is not that bad against Crystron or K9 variants because, let's say, for example, they did Noroi watch you see your hand. They're not gonna go for the Mjolnir lock anymore because they already saw your hand and they know you have a way to deal with it. Unless, you know, you don't have enough non-engine and then Ripper is enough to just stop you. But, you know, pairing these Bestials with a few other hand traps probably would have been really strong. Like, imagine like you Druid Swarming your opponent and then fusing it away for 5 mana into like, for example, Star Source. Like, that's already like 3 interruptions, like, right off the bat. Another thing I thought about was Lubellion. If you're playing Branded and you're playing Falling Off Albas, I think Lubellion and Branded Lost are not a bad idea. I know you don't want to oversaturate your engine with Branded cards, but I just thought about Lubellion because it just adds you the Bestial. You already played Magnamut, so like there's always value behind this card. This card is a material for Freelia Regis as well. It is also material for Star Source, and by resolving Lubellion and then like getting to Magnamut and then looping Magnamut with Arthalion after you tribute it for Lubellion, it's just a lot of value. Like, you're gaining so much value out of doing that play that your ceiling of your deck is extremely heightened. You could make the argument of Lubellion just not being good as a going second card, which is something completely valid. I'm not gonna take that away from anyone, but it is something I highly would have considered if I were to play a list like this one. Rescuer's Impulse. I think a lot of people are underestimating the splashability behind this card. I've only been seeing this card in Vanquish Soul, and because of the attribute, and I'm thinking this card is just like a third Mo Charmy. Like, look at every deck in the game that is popular right now. Every card walks into Impulse, into Fire Attacker. And Fire Attacker just drawing you closer to 5 mana alongside your Mo Charmies is just a lot of value. So, like, if you're trying to avoid FTKs, like in a strategy like this one, and you're just trying to like play into your engine and using 5 mana as your win condition against your opponent, then I actually don't see a reason why you shouldn't play the Fire Attacker package. The reason this deck can play Fire Attacker better than any other deck is because these cards, worst case scenario, are just fusion fodder for Arthalion or Gulamel, right? So yeah, this is something that I would have done. Now, final consensus. What is my final consensus on this list? everybody knows the truth. Everybody knows it by now. Dracotail is far from solved. I mean, just look at its performance and top cut. None of them made a top 8. And I will say this, I don't think it's Dracotail's fault. I think that deck was actually fairly positioned for what was happening at this event, not more about the decks at this event as a whole. Like, I know for a fact if this Crystron and Ryzio player that made top 4 would have walked into more Dracotails, they probably would have had a harder chance entering top cut. But yeah. The fact that world champion Julian Kahan chose to play this deck, even though it's not the same list as Pat, the fact that Pat chose to play this list, the fact that Jesse Cotton decided to play this deck, kind of already tells you Dracotail is not in the worst position ever, like in the game. This deck is still far from solved. I don't think we will get to a perfect version of this deck, but seeing the insight of really good players just piloting this deck is already good enough for me to have high hopes for Dracotail, like in maybe a future event. Alright, that's it from me. I hope you found this informative to your liking and understanding. Yeah, I really like Dracotail. I know that some people here really like the deck as well. I actually like the fact that it is under the radar. I think the more under the radar this deck is, the better chances it will have at future events, despite the popularity that it had this past weekend in representation. Alright. Until next time, keep practicing and keep dueling.